Hello and welcome to The Hub. I'm Wang Guan in Beijing.
Hello and welcome to The Hub on CGTN. I'm Wang Guan in Xi'an.
I'm from Guangxi Zhuang Autonomous Region at the Asian Games in Hangzhou, China. In Dubai, the United Arab Emirates.
From Astana, Kazakhstan. From Sao Paulo, Brazil.
In Baku, the capital city of Azerbaijan. Hello and welcome to this year-ender special of The Hub on CGTN. I'm Wang Guan. Greetings from Beijing, China. The year 2023 is extraordinary however you look at it. Just as much of the world thought they were emerging from the worst public health crisis of the 21st century, they found themselves scrambling to deal with new challenges. Slowing economic growth, the short-chaining of the global trade, the tragic death of civilians amid Israel-Palestine conflict, and the crisis in Ukraine now entering its third year. Some encouraging news, though, towards the year's end as Chinese and American leaders met face-to-face in San Francisco and told each other and the world that they do not want a new Cold War.
My view is consistent, which is that major country competition is not a prevailing trend of current times and cannot solve the problems facing China and the United States or the world at large. Planet Earth is big enough for the two countries to succeed, and one country's success is an opportunity for the other.
I've been meeting with President Xi since both of us were vice president over 10 years ago. Our meetings have always been candid and straightforward. We haven't always agreed, but they've been straightforward. And today, build on the groundwork we laid over the past several months of high-level diplomacy between our teams. We've made some important progress, I believe.
Hearing no objection, it is so decided.
And the United Nations Climate Conference, known as COP28, for the first time, saw 190-plus countries and regions committing themselves to transitioning away from fossil fuel to keep the 1.5-degree target within reach.
Here in Dubai, we have already fulfilled part of what we agreed in Sunnyland, which is working together to make a successful COP28.
We both hope and are pleased that we think our joint work not only advanced our respective national efforts, but also reflected at the COP in many ways throughout the creating of momentum and providing substantive ideas.
The year 2023 has seen its fair share of geopolitical turmoil, and as journalists, we try to get to the thick of it all and question those at the center of these epoch-defining events. And at this year-end special, let's rewind. Now, the center of geopolitical conflicts is the crisis in Ukraine. During an exclusive interview, I asked Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, about Russia's endgame in Ukraine.
关于乌克兰问题，普京总统，您如何看待乌克兰危机的和平解决的前景？和平什么时候能够到来？
А мы никогда не возражали против этого. Более того, даже договорились в Стамбуле в свое время о том, что мы готовы к этому при обеспечении, хочу это подчеркнуть, законных интересов России в сфере безопасности. И там украинская сторона нарисовала себе очень такие жесткие рамки обеспечения безопасности. И мы практически с этим согласились. Но мы знаем, естественно, предложения наших китайских друзей. Мы высоко ценим эти предложения. Я считаю, что они вполне реалистичны. Во всяком случае, могли бы быть положены в основу мирных договоренностей. Но, к сожалению, противная сторона не желает вести каких-либо переговоров.
As China's neighbor, Kazakhstan is a key country along the Belt and Road Initiative. By the way, China's Central Asia Summit was also held in May in Xi'an, China, the first of its kind, strengthening historically close yet complex relations among China and its Central Asian neighbors.
Talking about international relations, Mr. President, in recent years, some countries framed China as a threat. There's both rhetoric and actual policies of antagonizing China, of attempting to decouple with China, and of containing China. How do you feel about that?
I feel sorry about that. I don't share this view, and we do not support this concept. Speaking about Kazakhstan, we strongly believe that China is a very good friend of my country. And looking back in the historic developments, China
never made any damage to the Kazakh people. And of course, we keep it in our historic memory, and we very much appreciate it.
President Tokayev's views towards China, a country where he spent 7 years, first as a student then diplomat, struck me as nuanced and vastly different from the simplistic, dogmatic narratives about China often heard in the West.
Actually said it on many occasions that it is very important to uphold territorial integrity for all countries. Recently, you rejected calls for Taiwan independence. Can you elaborate?
We believe that it's a question which should be absolutely clear to everybody in the world. Taiwan is a part of China. So the principle of the territorial integrity of all states has been fixed in the Charter of the United Nations, which must be respected. And this principle also has been put in the declaration and in the Charter of the Shanghai Organization for Cooperation. So once again, for us, it's absolutely clear. Taiwan is a part of China.
The relationship between Saudi Arabia and Iran is one of the most complex in the Middle East region. The two countries cut their diplomatic relations in 2016. Now, under China's mediation, Iran and Saudi Arabia announced in Beijing that they have decided to resume their diplomatic ties. You were in Beijing a month ago with President Raisi's delegation, whereby I had the chance to talk to your president and ask him about the Saudi-Iranian talks. I want you to listen to this. 两国谈判有没有最新的进展？您对双方恢复外交关系的前景怎么看？
ما مذاکراتی داشتیم با سعودی ها، چند دور مذاکره با میانجیگری کشور عراق صورت گرفته و با همه کشورهای منطقه ما در حال گفتگو هستیم و گفتگو رو بهترین راه میدونیم برای حل مشکلات و مناقشات. حتما در این رابطه هم میتونه گفتگوها بین دو کشور ادامه پیدا کنه و آمادگی برای ادامه گفتگو رو ما داریم.
So what do you make of his answer? Apparently, like you said, this diplomatic breakthrough between Tehran and Riyadh was in the making back then.
Yes, the decision between the Iranian and Chinese presidents to push this forward was literally made hours before your interview. And of course it was discussed before the trip as well. But I think that this puts China in a very positive light. In our part of the world, in West Asia, the United States has a history of bullying, wars, dirty wars, sanctions used to impose its will upon the region, constantly using divisions between different countries or creating divisions between different countries. And here we have China, on the other hand, using its good offices to help bring countries closer to each other and to bring about greater stability in the Persian Gulf and the broader West Asia.
The rise of the Global South has also been a process in the making, and the year 2023 has seen renewed momentum. 6 new members were admitted into the BRICS. The expansion of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization is also happening. Iran is now a full member. Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, the United Arab Emirates, Qatar, and Egypt were welcomed for the first time as dialogue partners. Brazil is a founding member of BRICS, and its president, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, is known for giving passionate speeches on elevating the status of the Global South. Now, during his state visit to China, he told me his drive to fight for global equity and justice was actually rooted in his childhood hardship.
On so many occasions, you spoke very passionately about the necessity, the urgency of elevating the voice of the Global South. Where is this passion from? Why such urgency? Including the democratization of international relations that you often refer to.
Olha, eu tenho já praticamente 12 anos tentado mostrar dentro das Nações Unidas que a geopolítica de 45 não existe mais. A razão pela qual foi criada as Nações Unidas, com a formação que ela tem, já não existe mais. O mundo é outro. A geopolítica mundial mudou. E os países que fazem parte do Conselho de Segurança, às vezes fazem guerra sem discutir no Conselho de Segurança. O mundo está precisando de uma governança global mais forte, sobretudo quando se trata de discutir dois temas, a paz e a questão climática. Se você não tiver um Conselho de Segurança da ONU com autoridade de decidir e os países signatários cumprirem, a gente não vai resolver o problema climático no mundo.
You quitted school as a second grader to provide for your family. You became a street vendor at the age of 8, and then a shoe shine boy, a metal worker. What do those experiences mean to you and to the man that you've later become?
Olha, eu penso que a vida me ensinou a ser o que eu sou hoje. Eu fui criado numa família muito pobre. Minha mãe teve 12. E minha mãe teve 12 filhos, todos com parteira. Nenhum foi no hospital. Com 8 filhos, porque 4 tinham morrido. Ninguém trabalhava na época. Só tem uma razão de ser presidente do Brasil. É melhorar a vida do povo mais pobre. É garantir que ele possa tomar café, almoçar e jantar todo dia. É garantir que ele tenha um emprego. É garantir que ele possa criar sua família. Esse é o papel de um presidente da República. Dar acesso à saúde a esse povo mais humilde. Então, é para isso que eu governo. E essa é a educação que eu recebi de berço.
Images may appear to be identical, but looks can be deceiving. The difference is not always obvious. It has to be discovered. There are always different sides to a story. We put the focus on the details. To see more, to understand better. CGTN. See the difference. Each day, there are millions of stories. Each one can open new perspectives, new possibilities. Wherever you look, we are there. To see, discover, explore. We put the pieces together to find what really matters to you, all around the world, all around the clock. Our reporters are at home across the globe. From our headquarters in Beijing and production centers in Washington, Nairobi, and London. Stories from across the globe, reaching people across the globe. CGTN. See the difference.
Now, in the past year, it's not just the newsmakers and policymakers that came onto our program. We also talked to ordinary folks.
Meet Tang Hao. He's an immigration inspection officer at Beijing Capital International Airport. In the past 3 years, he has provided assistance to international travelers and helped facilitate their immigration procedures.
Of course, with China optimizing its quarantine and travel requirements since January the 8th, 2023, what changes does that bring to your line of work?
There are more flights and more passengers coming in, so the expression on their faces has changed. Before, we were wearing protective suits to carry out inspections. The way they looked at us and the attitude were generally cautious. Now we can see overseas Chinese who have not returned home for 3 years. They cry with joy when meeting with their families. We also see business people who often travel. They do not need to stay in quarantine anymore.
I'm looking forward just going out in the city without quarantine.
It's much more convenient now, so yeah, we're really happy now that we do not have these restrictions anymore.
When devastating earthquakes hit Syria and Turkey, our team reached out to Dahu and his family, who lived in Turkey at the moment and were waken up by a strong tremor.
Hello, 你们还好吗?
Hello, hello.
You guys okay?
好啊，没想到我们会以这样的方式再次见面。
哎呀，真的，你们都还平安就好，你们都还平安就好。
你直接去走，对，走吧。 现在就我一个人给你们播就好了啊，然后采完我们就要撤了。对，说实话，你肯定会有一种本能的恐惧，就是你觉得这房子要垮了，你得死了，就是这样子的感觉，你得死了。对，你再过几分钟就没有你这个人，你会马上从10楼伴随着这些瓦土一起掉下去，然后被压死。
大虎，我知道你要帮助家人，按照政府的要求，赶快去一个可能更安全的安置点啊！谢谢你花时间接受我们的采访，也希望赶快能够到一个安全的地方。下一次我们连线的时候，得到你平安的消息。
汇报一下情况，我们在前天的时候呢，就离开了我们之前订的那个海边的小木屋，对，我们就先回来了，我们就又回到了这个梅尔辛。前天回来以后，就在跟当地土耳其的我的朋友们也在商量对策。还有就是我们很多的同胞也有找到我说想要去做志愿者，然后在前天晚上呢，我又组建了一个加我8个人的一个临时小团队。我们8人里边呢，有2个是土耳其人，还有其他的都是我们国家的同胞。但是让我最感动的就是在大灾难面前，没有一个人他置身事外啊。在这个时候呢，没有国籍之分，没有民族之分，有的就只有这个人类啊。在面对人类相同的痛苦的时候，我们就应该是众志成城，去克服万难，去解决这些事儿。
And they're young kids who have dreams, and they're doing everything they can to chase their dreams.
我叫徐继文，今年12岁，现在6年级。大家通常都叫我徐大碗，因为他们觉得我吃的比较多。
This is Xu Jingwen's first time in Beijing. She and her teammates attend primary school in a remote mountainous village in Dafang County, Bijie, a prefecture-level city in Guizhou Province. A long, winding road connects the village to the outside world. Like Xu, many kids here are so-called left-behind children. They grew up without one or both of their parents who went to find work in big cities. However, a new chapter unfolded as an unexpected craze for football was sweeping the school.
刚巧那一年大方县举办中小学生运动会第一次，然后我作为一个一直来的一个球迷，我就想让这些孩子组建个足球队，于是我就在元宝小学组建了这个男女足球队。然后经过志愿者，经过老师们的持续的就是陪伴，在没有球场，在土包的上面的情况下，陪他们练了3个月。可是超乎你的想象，通过3个月的陪伴以后，我们在大方县第1届中小学生运动会中，这些孩子居然爆发出了惊人的战斗力，然后包揽了小学组的男女足球的冠军。
Winning games after only 3 months of training was no mean feat. They started from scratch and trained from dawn to dusk against the odds. Sweat, tears, and perseverance. And Xu Jingwen never imagined that one day she and her teammates would meet those big names and play football in front of them. Brazilian football icon Ricardo Kaká has been to China before, but this time it feels different. He's here for a friendly match between 2 schoolgirls teams for a charity project. And here comes Team Yuanbao. The match was impressive. The girls really touched me in the heart. As a former youth footballer myself, I was in tears at some point watching these girls play, seeing how the passion for football is transforming the lives of these young girls, many of whom come from very humble beginnings. The Champions League final, the biggest match of the year, concluded where Manchester City beat Inter Milan 1-0. We got this video from Coach Xu and the girls.
怎么样？场地怎么样？热，很大哈，热闹不热闹？热闹。哎，你看了心里有什么想法？被震撼了没有？
He shared the excitement as they're watching the final at the Ataturk Olympic Stadium in Istanbul. The joy was genuine and beyond any word can describe. Such is the power of sport. Such is the power of football.
And it has been a great year for sport. The Asian Games in Hangzhou, China was one of the most exciting and greenest ever. We spent some 2 weeks at Asia's largest sporting event and caught up with those who made these games a great success.
China all the time hosting very best and very good events.
In fact, it's given a tough job for the people who are following.
Including the Paris Olympics, you think?
I wouldn't say that.
所以我们导演组一直为什么说这方案来回改啊？就是这个
打磨，
对打磨。
你必须就做了准确无误、丝丝入扣。那么靠的是什么？就是一种创新精神，支持你。
Anything you want to say to Team China now that they have won? I mean, the country is rallying against the players.
We heard here in the venue the spectators really shouting "Yao" and so on. And no, of course, congratulations. They have done it again. But we can also see here during the match how strong the players are.
Though my ping pong skills may have long been rusty, I hate to give up the chance to play against China's table tennis world champion. So I made a fool of myself and took it up against Xu Xin.
I knew it was going to be hard, but I didn't quite know it was going to be this hard. It may look easy, I may look like a clumsy, but hey, the spinning, the force, the power, it's just so hard to get back to him. No wonder he's a world champion. I think kudos to him and his generation. I mean, but hey, this is the best I can do. Well, at the end of the day, the Asian Games are people's games. It's all about people. It's all about everyday citizens, grassroots, taking up a sport and loving it. I mean, can't emphasize this enough. At this year's Asian Games, for example, the venues opened to the public a long time ago. In the past year, in the run-up to the Games, everyday people can sign up to enter the venues to run, to jog, to work out, to swim, and also Zhejiang province is building this 10-minute commute fitness centers all around the province so that people can get to their fitness places sooner rather than later, and with more facility, with much greater facility actually. People always ask why sport, right? I always think that if people can meet at the table tennis court, if they can meet on the soccer pitch, and if they can meet on the basketball court, they're less likely to meet on the battlefields.
You're watching breaking news on CGTN.
You're watching CGTN with the latest market-moving headlines from around the world.
Welcome to the world today on CGTN.
The year 2023 has also seen men of great influence leaving us. Henry Kissinger died at the age of 100. Having done missions for 12 U.S. presidents, his political philosophy of realpolitik changed the world forever. And also in the field of art, Chien Chug Pei, the renowned Chinese-American architect, died at the age of 77. As we share our thoughts and prayers, we also want to rewind and take another look at their words of wisdom at our programs.
In your book on China, you coined the word co-evolution in the Pacific community. What exactly does that mean?
Well, what it means is we should not require China to act like we do. China should not expect us to act like China does in all respects. What we should expect from each other or try to achieve is that we each develop our societies in the way we think are most appropriate. But as we do this, we keep in mind that we move towards similar and sometimes identical goals. So we progress side by side, but not necessarily to the same music.
Many of your fans and followers and admirers notice the geometry in your architecture. They say that, look, the Pei architects often produced very extraordinary shapes and forms. For example, prisms, parallelograms, triangle, semicircle, and cone. What inspired you to do that?
To me, geometry is really at the base of all good architecture. I mean, not all architects will agree with me, but I find that when you have a rigorous geometrical organization, it doesn't mean that the building has to be exactly everything the same and so on, but when you have that, we have, for example, we start out and we try to establish what we call module, which is a dimension which will repeat throughout the project. Now, when you do that, it makes the planning very easy when you have a module. You know, when we design the building, on the floor plan we have the paving pattern. If the paving pattern is following this module, it's very easy. But also, what about the lighting? And then you also have the module is going vertically, and so therefore you have a certain amount of repetition, and with repetition in architecture, you should have economy.
And I can't possibly end the year without mentioning my wonderful team, each and every one of them. The producers, editors, writers, designers. They're the best team I could ever hope to have.